Enough time has passed for people to realize that Battlefield 6 is not as good as many thought when the game first came out. Blinded by hype, blinded by how bad Battlefield 2042 was, which led to believe that Battlefield 6 could not have been worse. And what do the current player numbers for Battlefield 6 look like at the moment? Yes, it does not look particularly good for Battlefield 6, but this is completely normal for a video game. The game is played heavily during the first 2 weeks, reaches its peak, and then the player numbers drop after about 2 months. The hype for Battlefield 6 was so big because people were tired of seeing cringe cosmetics in military shooters, and they were done playing unfinished games with in-game monetization, which even pushed the hype for Battlefield 6 even more. When the Battlefield 6 trailer came out for the first time, people were convinced that we are going back to the roots of Battlefield. But is that really the case? What has Battlefield 6 learned from previous mistakes of earlier Battlefield titles and improved upon them? You guessed it right, nothing. Battlefield Bad Company 2 had destruction that was way far ahead of its time. Battlefield 3 had some of the best conquest and rush maps which made the game unforgettable. Battlefield 4 had revolution and naval combat which changed how map played. Battlefield 1 had behemoths and introduced one of the best game modes, operations, where you truly felt like you were in war. And what does Battlefield 6 have? Nothing to look forward to. Even after playing the game for like more than 10 hours, it feels like the game has no revision, no personality, and doesn't know which direction it should go. I will go into a few things that Battlefield could add or change to improve the game and make it a better overall experience. Battlefield 6 live service has not delivered enough or good content so far. We have only received 2 new maps and 1 new snow map. Right now they are only mainly adding new skins. What we need are more maps and guns so that players have a reason to come back to the game. But I would generally prefer if we simply went back to the premium based system Battlefield had before, which provided way more content than now. Let's take a look at the menu when we start the game for the first time. What immediately stands out is that you have no overview in the main menu. The first thing you get thrown onto your face is advertisement. When you go over to the multiplayer section, the fact that casual breakthrough is shown as the second option already says a lot about the game and what kind of players they want to attract. Having to go all the way to the left to see all the game modes is just stupid. So EA, make it easier for us and take the menu from Battlefield 4, which was more clearer and also better labeled. Implement a proper server browser for the main game that runs at 60Hz, not like in Portal which only runs at 30Hz. Because the only thing you mostly see in Battlefield 6 right now are bot farm servers. I mean, it's not like we have already had this kind of problem before and that they have learned nothing from their previous mistakes. Now let's go over to Battlefield 6 gameplay, which arguably has one of the worst gameplay designs since Battlefield 1 when they nerfed the movement. Battlefield 6 gameplay basically requires little skill, the mechanics lag on death, and they provide boring gameplay. You immediately notice that the game was designed specifically for casuals, which has negative impact of the longevity of the game. You can already see this with the vehicle alone, which are completely badly designed and not even close to the legacy and standard that Battlefield 4 set in its prime. Those only in Battlefield moments we used to love and that the older games were known for are not really present in Battlefield 6 anymore. There are so many people claiming that Battlefield 6 movement is too fast. Did you guys ever play Battlefield 4, Battlefield 5 or even Battlefield 2042, which has arguably one of the fastest movement of any Battlefields and you guys never complained about them? Some way to improve Battlefield 6 gameplay would be to make the sprint speed faster, get rid of all the movement penalties and visual recall, and adjust the close range time to kill, which sometimes even feels faster than COD. Something they also really need to address is the player visibility. A player can stand right in front of me and I cannot see him without looking twice. I also feel like this is something easy to fix since they could just turn up the player contrast. They have done that with Battlefield 5 and they should be able to do it again. What makes a good shooter is the gameplay, the depth, the mechanics and the movement where you have to put hours and hours to master them. And that is what we have to bring back. This game has a lot of potential to be one of the best Battlefields, a Battlefield we can look back on and say how great it was.